Ooh, I have not forgotten about the precious Dead by Daylight reviews. Holy schmolligans. I have made a mistake. Alright, fixed it. Now I gotta repin everything. Wah, wah, wah. I've not forgotten about the Dead by Daylight reviews. There's just been a lot of things going on, but I finally managed to get the card situation settled. And I also bought Skyrim VR. So, with any luck, I think tomorrow I'm going to start working on building a mod pack for Skyrim VR. Go through, get companions, do, a whole bunch of other different things, maybe add in new areas or something, fix the base game, make it look amazing, etc., etc. Um, I don't know if my computer can run it. Skyrim VR, I mean, regular Skyrim, my computer ran perfectly with no issues. So Skyrim VR is literally the same thing, except for with VR being added to it. I don't see it causing any type of issues or problems, but should be fun. Should be fun. um, after I play through Skyrim VR, which I'm probably not going to do a full series, I'm going to be running through Enderal, at least the rest of the Enderal story that I have left. So probably like an hour or two of that. That is what I'm looking forward to more than Skyrim. Because I have a setup the where I can use a specific spell that slows down time. And I think being able to wield weapons and all of that, and have the ability to slow down time, I could make a fairly good build from that. As that I haven't completed a lot of the side quests and things like that on Enderall. I've kind of went pushing main story, occasional side quest. So there's plenty of running around and things I can do in the Enderall world. Which those of you that know, you're very spongy in Enderall. And you die very quickly. So that's going to be the fun experience. Skyrim's going to be kind of the mess around experience. You go in, you have fun, you do dumb things, etc., etc. Whilst Enderall, you kind of have to take the game more serious. I mean, I exploit the hell out of the game in order to pass everything because it's just that hard. I didn't play it on the super hard difficulty either. I left it on adept, I think. Whatever the medium difficulty is, the normal. Game's hard as shit. You have to do proper building, proper tactics, proper attacks, proper play in order to exceed or excel in Enderall. If not, you're going to get clapped over and over and over, and you're going to spend the majority of your time trying to find things and level up. Because leveling up is not like Skyrim. You cannot just swing your sword around and level up your sword skill. Enderall has a completely different level up system. And if you have Skyrim Special Edition only, I would suggest that you download Enderall. You can get it on Steam. You don't even have to have Skyrim installed. You just have to own a copy of it. Download Enderall and get back into the Elder Scroll days. Except for this is like an actual well balanced and hard as shit game as opposed to, Oblivion and Skyrim and all of them, and Morrowind and all of that, where you essentially can get super super powerful to where nobody can basically hit you or harm you or anything like that. You just kind of laugh as you get hit, and then you slap people out of the way. Oh, also, an Enderall, which I'll speak over about it more. You are no longer Dragonborn in Enderall. You are just a plain Jane adventurer. Well, I mean, you're not plain Jane, but you have your special title and all, but you are no longer Dragonborn. So you can't use shouts and things like that to get through all of that unless there's a mod for shouts. So things are a lot different. Way, way, way different. It's a completely different area, completely different environment. So I look forward to playing that in VR. I'm gonna get sick as shit the first couple of times playing it because, well, walking around with a stick while looking around with your face is kind of a disorienting experience. But once I get used to it, you can start pushing out longer streams. Well, basically, till the headset dies. I have like an hour and a half limit on a fully charged headset before it's going to die, regardless. So there's that. But yeah, that is something to look forward to. I don't care if it gets, my videos get copyrighted due to some bullshit or whatever else. I really don't care. It's all about fun. Like Friday Night Funkin', it was fun. I played my little bit of it. I even got a new keyboard that I could play it flawlessly on. However, when it comes down to any time I play Friday Night Funkin', some other motherfuckers are making money off of my videos when I'm not making money off of it. It's kind of a slap in the face, you know what I'm saying? Which again brings up the what the fuck, YouTube. You have to have something like 10,000 like subscribers or something like that, concurrent viewers and all of that other shit. Not only does YouTube underpay, they also get a shit ton of profit from you while you're building up your channel and all of that shit. They're making hella profit off of you before you become partnered with them. Then they're making hella profit off of you after you become partnered with them. Because I mean, like, honestly, the smart thing would do is to make a program that can monetize your videos on YouTube instead of YouTube injecting their ads. You completely say, oh, fuck you, YouTube, and inject your own ads into that shit via AdSense or something else, where you can recoup, money while not being a partner. So when people watch your videos and all of that shit, all of that watch time and all of that goes towards your own personal stash, where YouTube is just a hosting platform, which is free, which really isn't free because they're literally making money off of every click and every view. They're making generally more money than anybody else is making when you just view a regular video. But beyond that, definitely should look into somebody making a way to hook your YouTube to where you can monetize your own content without having to worry about it. Twitch is a decent alternative, but again, you have to have X amount, Y amount, and Z amount of things in order to become partnered. There's other websites that are up there that where you maintain monetization as soon as you sign up for the website, but they're not bigger websites. People don't normally go to those websites. So in order for them to pull people, they're going to have to, again, pay into the YouTube and Twitch, people. to get their channel built up and then say, hey, come visit me on this platform. Some people refuse to switch platforms. It's hard enough to get somebody on YouTube to go to Twitch or Twitch to YouTube, but to have them go to a third party website where you get more money and things like that, people aren't going to be willing to do that till you become more popular and they respect you more. By that time, you're already going to have a channel built up on YouTube or Twitch or both. And you're right back at square one. So it's like, if you're like, Mr. Beast or something, or Markiplier or something, where you can have a lot of content and a lot of followers, where you could just create a website and say, hey, come to my website for my content. It makes sense, especially when it comes to like Mr. Beast that, does all his bullshit. He could make a website and pull people over to that because people are fucking greedy and all they see are money bags. That's it. Some people like the content for entertainment. Most people are just looking for, their chance to make money. Especially the kids and things like that that watch. It's kind of sad. It's all money based. Whether he's using money, giving out money, things like that, views will come in. People are dumb and think that they're actually going to get a piece of that shit. Let's say, for example, he gets the 100 million, or however much he's going for subscribers. If he's giving out a $10,000 prize, you have 100 million potential. It's not going to be that. Most people have multiple accounts and shit that they link in above stats, but a potential 100 million people that you're going against. I mean, yeah, you have greater odds than the lottery, but look at how less money is compared to a lottery win. So it comes out to about the same amount of odds as winning the lottery than as winning this competition. But most people are looking for like the Squid Games thing that he done. Oh, I can be part of this. I can be part of the channel. I can possibly get my fame, etc., etc. And they run over and they do those things and everything else, and they're hoping for their big break and all of this money and to go and do something, especially around this time when COVID's really hampering people from going and doing things that they like. You run into that issue. I mean, it's perfect time to hold things like that, like having like a Lost challenge where he like rents an island or something and does one of those and has games in a custom set. Like that would be perfect because people are vacation sick. They want to go outside, they want to do things, if they could get a mini vacation on an island somewhere or an area somewhere that looks like an island and do games and shit, they'll jump on that opportunity. And it's all about investment. You spend $100,000 making the set and getting the area and all that and make $1 million, you're doing good. Anyway, I've done again, we're back to this. Perk idea, sweet revenge, add-on idea, nowhere to run. Why not combine both of these together? I'm not gonna look at it because there's one and then two like there, like that. I'm not gonna look at that, which you have these and you have this. I'm not gonna look at that, especially because it's just another Slender Man thing to add on top of that. Candyman Killer's old. Please do bones. Depending on which bones you're talking about, I can think of about 5 bones at the moment. I see. Bladed Freddy concept. Apparently by a mod. Um, I understand what you're trying to do, but I don't think that's the way to go about doing it. As most of you know, most Freddies are, most Freddies. Freddy is a burn victim. Very parentheses on the word victim. He died in a fire or burning to death. That's why, his face and his skin and everything is the color and how messed up and leathery and everything else it looks. Nothing lore wise really pops anything like this, especially Dead by Daylight wise. If you look at the Blight, for example, or any other killer that has, like that blighted look, you should really go based off of that and then adapt it over to like Freddy. But it's a creation. Creations are there, made for fun, and that's all it is fun and games. Well, somebody got banned. So either a mod posted this or a mod was the last one to comment on this. Probably the last one, or someone has commented on this. But, if this is the mod, the one that posted this, then I don't think, I guess mods aren't allowed to ban or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, a mod commented on it. There you go. Damn, really good job there. Love the concept. And then you banned them. So I'm guessing this is somebody else's art or something from somewhere. And you just whippity do. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's actually banned though. Maybe that's just a little thing that you can put down. Like Gamerzilla. I don't think they're actually banned. Okay, I get it. I think that's just a little picture. That's active February 20th. Oh, I guess they were banned. Alright. Oh, that is what that means. Just making sure. We need a Grim Reaper in this game. I agree and disagree at the same time. I do love the idea of Grim Reaper, but I disagree with the implementations of the Grim Reaper per lore. Everything in the Dead by Daylight world is made by the entity except for the survivors and the killers. The killers have fun slaying out. The survivors, are food for the entity. The Grim Reaper, by lore, is one that collects souls. If a Grim Reaper collects a soul in the entity's world, then isn't that counterproductive for everything else? Because once their souls are collected, the Grim Reaper, woof, is out and goes about their business because the survivors can't respawn if the Grim Reaper takes their souls. In parentheses, or air quotes, takes their souls. So, a Grim Reaper actually wouldn't fit lore wise into and the Grim Reaper won't really fit to the entity lore wise, and it's going to be a very hard battle to make somebody who takes souls of survivors, and because I mean that mean the Grim Reaper somehow was weakened to the point to where he was captured by the entity. Once captured by the entity, there is no known escape. However, the Grim Reaper again has the ability to take souls. So if the Grim Reaper decides to take the survivor's souls, then the game cannot continue. So then it becomes a power struggle of can the entity defeat the Grim Reaper before it essentially starves to death? Or can the Grim Reaper survive and defeat the entity? Nobody knows the entity's, 100% true power because all we see are trials. What happens when the entity gets mad and the entity just, collapses the world? Can the Grim Reaper survive that? Can the Grim Reaper leave whenever he wants to leave? Because, I mean, when the Cenobite takes somebody down into the labyrinth using his Mori, it's a labyrinth made by the entity. That's what the Cenobite opens up. So if the Grim Reaper takes a soul to a specific place, is it a place that the entity is allowing that he makes? Or do we go based off the Grim Reaper's actual power? The souls that the Grim Reaper takes, is it a soul that the entity makes? So you give the entity power, and the Grim Reaper is just doing his job, but he doesn't realize? Or do you make it to where, the souls are actually being taken and, they're just, mindless corpses running around powered by the entity now? Like, how do you word this to incorporate a Grim Reaper into the lore? Now, I mean, you could use like the Grim from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. He would fit in there pretty good because he isn't necessarily a super strong Grim Reaper. He's kind of weak, and he also lost the bet with Billy and Mandy. So, I mean, it would be kind of a funny thing if you had like a grown up Billy or Mandy or somebody else from the season. I mean, Billy and Mandy have had grown up phase or episodes where they've been grown up. So you could pull their grown up forms into the entity or into the realm, and then you can have Grim be the killer, and you could run off something like that, him just getting revenge. So his promise isn't broken, but they can still, do the thing. But I don't know. You would need a lot of lore and a lot of coverage to incorporate something like that. Anyway, the power is obviously a soul collection. This is another problem. If it's the same with vampires and werewolves and things like that when it comes down to it, once they accept and adapt a specific type of entity, monster, whatever you want to call them, being, whatever, that's the standard. You can't run any other things. So if they accept a Grim Reaper thing, they aren't going to be able to make any other different types of Grim Reapers or anything like that without incorporating a different type of system, like my alternative killer system, for example. So that Grim Reaper will be the end of all Grim Reapers, which is why they haven't really made a vampire. If they accept a vampire, that vampire is going to be the end all be all vampire. They can no longer use anything. So like if a new killer comes out in a movie that's cool as hell and everybody wants to see them, there's already a vampire there. You can't use it. So I see their hesitation on huge, on beings that can cut an entire road path as opposed to using specific killers. For example, we have the clown killer, yes, but if somebody was to incorporate Pennywise into the equation. You can incorporate Pennywise having, the sewers and the balloons and everything else, and still have the clown, and they won't overlap each other because one's more like a circus type clown, and Pennywise as well. Everybody knows what Pennywise is. Completely different. They both share the aspect of clown, but they aren't clown. It's about the same as, the spirit and the nurse sharing, the spirit type of thing. However, they're separate entities, they're different things. You aren't going to have any run in using specific killers and then having generic, like Trapper, for example. Trapper is just a generic killer, but if they finally manage to get Jason Voorhees and incorporate him well, it won't interfere with the Trapper. But if they straight up say the Reaper or the Grim Reaper, that cuts out any other type of Grim Reapers that can be in there, because that is, a solitary thing. Unless they somehow manage to incorporate like a Grim Reaper and like wielding a gun or something and not necessarily collecting souls, collecting something else. But then again, if there's going to be a killer Grim Reaper, it's probably gonna go after souls anyways. But anyway, you take souls, you slow survivors down based off souls taken. If you get enough souls, you can mori people. The end. Good, bad, OP, too weak. Well, the problem is it's not long enough, and there's not enough detail, and there's not enough content to say whether or not this is good, bad, OP, or too weak. What you have there is just something like when I spitball something and I say, well, this, that, and that. That's what you have there, an incomplete thing. Somebody's going to have to pick that up and turn that into an actual concept. I am going to leave this like that so everybody can pause and look at this, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Oh, shit. Game mode concept. Item hunt slash quick trial. When I see item hunt, I think of treasure hunts and prop hunt and things like that. Mostly prop hunt. Quick trial. Whew. After waiting anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes to find a game, I don't think I would want a quick trial to happen. I'm just gonna throw that out there. If they manage to make the quick trials, quick game finding as well, to where you're just in and out of trials and you keep, circulating people, different. But that would be a change to their entire core system and all of that. Plus, they would have to have servers dedicated to quick trial, which makes more money. Sunk into said game, etc., etc. So, you also have to keep that in mind. They're also, like I always state, are working on a separate game. So they really don't have the money to, throw out more servers and all of that other stuff, because whatever game they have is most assuredly going to be multiplayer and it's going to need its own servers. So they would have to cut into the servers that they already have available and convert some of those over to quick trials. Which means matchmaking time for regular trials that already take forever are actually going to increase because there's less servers. So keep in mind, even small changes like that can hurt the regular game. There are no generators, no hooks, no perks related to them. Trial spawns with as many chests as possible. 11. Game time is set to 10 minutes. Let's stop right here. You have 11 chests in 10 minutes. This means that you have to balance this entire game to where survivors can adequately search all 11 chests within your 10-minute timer. You also have to balance it enough to where the killer can stop the survivors and keep it competitive. So the problem that you're going to have just starting off here is 11 chests, 10 minutes. That is essentially every minute a survivor needs to open up one chest. If we're leaving it to the 4 survivors and 1 killer, that is way too much time, and it's almost impossible to prevent from happening. Because at the beginning, just like generators, 3 survivors are going to run around and they're going to open up 3 chests while 1 goes and deals with the killer. There's no hooks or anything like that, so I guess it would be once a survivor goes down, another survivor has to pick them up instead of hook them or something like that. I'm pretty sure it'll get into that. So you have 10 minutes to open up 11 chests, but there's 4 survivors and 1 killer. This is heavily stacked against killer, which the next line down, gates will be automatically open with 8 minutes, and the in-game countdown will start. So you actually only have 8 minutes to open, which I'm assuming, because it doesn't said from now, 11 chests. I assume you're looking for an item in there. In theory, With the odds you have of finding items, you're never actually going to open up 11 chests anyway, but we're going to assume everything is just going terrible and it's in the last chest that you open. Just to show the differences. 8 minutes, 11 chests. And at 8 minutes, apparently, survivors can just leave because the end game, countdown starts, which is very weird, but okay. You would think that they would have to find, like every other place, keys that are in our chest, and then go to a door and put key in chest. That way, the killer has the option of pressuring chests. Then, towards the end, once the last key or so is needed, the killer can pressure the door. And survivors will have to take hits and do things like that in order to escape. But then you're going to have to balance it to where, whatever killers you allow to be used don't have, the ability to do certain things, aka just sit in front of the last key and just hit survivors as they approach them because, well, they're a solid hitbox and survivors can't interact with anything. Then you're going to have a backup system to where if that does happen, survivors are going to have to be able to escape, preventing, killers from holding the game hostage and just waiting for the end game collapse to happen. So there's a lot of balancing that needs to be done here because you're trying to do this through Dead by Daylight. Yates opening up at 8 minutes. Okay, survivors can only leave the trial if they have an item. That's not a hard thing to do. And you think the balance for this is killers have Build and Franklin's demise to their basic and special attacks? Do you really think that that's going to counter that? Let me tell you what's going to happen. Survivors are going to grab an item, find it, pick it up, carry it over near wherever the hell exit gate they're wanting to go, and they're going to drop that shit on the fucking ground. And they're going to chill. Because if there's 11 chests, there's probably more than 4 items in those 11 chests. But let's say there's only 4 items. That's all the survivor's going to do. He's going to go, he's going to grab the item, he's going to hide that shit by the door, he's going to drop the item, and then he's going to go about his day. Whether it's hiding in a locker, running killer, playing the hide and seek, doing whatever needs to be done. So Franklin's demise isn't going to have any type of effect there, because if the killer's running at me and I drop my item before the killer hits me, the timer doesn't reset and destroy the item, resetting it back to a chest or something like that. It doesn't matter. You just drop it on the ground when you see the killer, and then you run off and do whatever you want. And the killer can decide whether they want to camp this item, which generally isn't a good idea, even if they found the hidden item. It's not a good idea to camp it because you have 3 other survivors that are going and actively doing things. But let's say the killer does camp said item. Only thing they have to do if a survivor has dead hard or anything else, primed, all they have to do is take a hit, pick up the item that they left by the exit gate, and dead hard out. It's going to be extremely hard to prevent that from being exploited. Then you have the, well, what if I make the item reset if it's laid on the ground for like 30 seconds or something like that? Well, if all the other chests in the maps are open and you leave an item down there to bait killer out to camp it like towards the end of the trial, or you do the juggling every 30 seconds, go back and pick it up or do whatever you need to do. There's only going to be X amount of chests that are left that are unopened. So are you just going to reclose a random chest at the end of the trial? Because I guarantee you it's not going to take 11 minutes, or 8 minutes still, to open up 11 chests. So one, you're going to have to increase the amount of chests hidden around the map. They're going to have to be everywhere. And then, how do you let the killer know which item's in what chest, or do you just let the killer go? Because if the killer has to deal with a large amount of chests stopping survivors from opening them, it's gonna be hell on earth. If a survivor's over in an area that doesn't have an item, you know you don't have to worry about that particular survivor. So there's a large amount of holes in this that needs to be filled. Since there is no hooks, if all four survivors are in the dying state at the same time, it's an instant win for the killer to prevent a boring 2 minutes of just survivors being slug scenario. That is against the Dead by Daylight play. Also, if all four survivors go down and one has borrowed time, it's not going to matter. What if one survivor has borrowed time primed and they're just waiting on the other person to run the killer away? That person goes down, the game ends before their borrowed time gets used. So you're preventing strategies of no mither and borrowed time and things like that from being used. Also, that's another thing. No mither. What if one person runs no mither or everybody runs no mither and everybody can just continue to pick themselves up? That is the whole reason of that 2 minute timer. So any type of perk that allows you to pick yourself up, especially if you're able soul guard and things like that, you are completely just getting rid of in this particular situation. And I guarantee you, no mither gets used quite a lot because that's infinite amount of times to get up. The survivor doesn't have to worry about getting hooked; they can just pick themselves back up, which means the killer would have to down them a lot of times to get rid of that timer because it's 16 seconds or so or something like that to get back up with that on. Well, no more that has speed, and if you run that with unbreakable and things like that, you can still get more speed. So you would have to down them a lot of times in order for that to happen. Thus, why you shouldn't remove hooks or some sort of thing, you know. Use Pyramid Head, have them use this Cage of Atonement or whatever. Easy way to get around having excessive hooks. Have them, boom, teleport someplace. If all chests are open and all items are consumed by the entity during Franklin's demise, the next chest in the basement will have its aura revealed. That's not smart because killers are going to know that if they allow the survivors to open up all the chests and get their items, and they slap, 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 they can let 3 items go down the drain, swoop, gone, and now only one survivor can escape the trial. It's just a counting game now. That survivor can't destroy their own item. If the killer doesn't hit him, one survivor escapes, the other 3 can't escape. Or vice versa. He hits the last survivor, camps the item, then goes to the basement and camps that chest. Nobody can escape if you want to go for the 4. Let's see. Survivors cannot leave items on the ground to dodge Franklins. They can only replace them in chests. So you cannot drop that item, which gets rid of the obvious exploit of dodging Franklins. However, if the survivor has to keep the item on them at all times, they're just gonna hide. The killer's not gonna find them. After you get an item, there's no purpose at all, at all, for you to engage killer. So you're going to have 4 survivors with items crouching on the edge of the map or somewhere in a bush or something that the killer's never going to check, or hiding in a specific locker, killing. Every once in a while getting out and walking around. As the killer runs around checking every locker, every corner, everything, everywhere. So you've just changed the game from a boring 2 minutes of just laying there slugged to a boring 8 minutes of survivors just hiding in the corner. Items that are part of a killer's base kit count for the purpose of escaping the trial. So you can pick up Pyramid Head's cube and escape. You can get a vaccine from Nemesis and escape. The videotape, you can escape. That is absolutely positively dumb. The cube. There's only one cube. Nemesis's vaccines are every fucking where and easy to get to. They're even highlighted. The videotape, you walk to a TV, you take out the tape. It's that simple. So you've just broken your own game. The nightmare can teleport the chest, which means he's going to have to be able to see where every single chest is, etc., etc. Which still doesn't tell me about the inherent problem of, where the items are going to be. So I guess the killer's just going to see the outlines of 1,000 chests on screen at once. And they're going to have to essentially wait until a chest just randomly disappears. And that's how they're going to know that a survivor's over there. You see how bad that is when it comes to finding the survivors as a killer? You have to just patrol chest and hope that one, well, not hope, but if an aura disappears, immediately rush over there and hope you can find the survivor before they go into hiding. Because once they get away from that area and they hide, there's no finding them really. Why is it that killer can't just claim the survivor's item when they get sacrificed in normal gameplay? That's something I've been thinking about. I wanted to discourage camping in this mode. You didn't discourage camping at all. You know how easy it would be for the killer to slap a survivor, pick the item up, and force it to spawn somewhere else at another chest that closes? Well, you'd have to make it two chests. You'd have to make the item spawn in a chest and have it close, and then have like one or two additional chests. One chest regular, two chests with an add-on, something like that, or even make all chests close with like an iridescent add-on. Who knows? But the only way to play this game as a survivor, and like I said, there is no point in after you getting an item to do anything except for waiting for the end game collapse to start. It's not like you have to pick up a key, like I said, go to a door and unlock the locks, which in turn gives the killer to, they can find you while wandering around. They can find you when the aura of the chest disappears, and they can also find you afterwards as you're going to the door to, implement that or and put key in lock. And also make it to where every 30 to 45 seconds a beacon pops that shows the location of the key holder to prevent survivors from getting all four keys, hiding in a corner, going and open up all locks, and all survivors going to find the last key. And then obviously, if the key lands on the ground, make it to where the killer can see it and let them able to drop the key. If you have a key in your hand and you find another key, you should be able to drop said key, pick up the new key, and then drop that key as well. If they want to do some sort of thing, because if the key is a beacon that everybody can see when dropped, and you find two keys, then you drop a key, another survivor sees that the key is over there, and if they're nearby, maybe they can come pick it up. Or if it's an SWF or something like that. But like I said, the survivors are going to win this the majority of the time how it's set, because all they have to do is hide. I've played hide and seek for a long time in a trial. And trust me, if you don't limit to what survivors can do, how long they can stay in lockers, how many pallets they have, windows, sets, and, other locations, and etc., etc. Plus, you're going to need a new map for this. There'll be multiple maps for this. It's just not there. This needs a hell of a lot of work, and this is way too short to try to describe a new game mode. It's flawed, it's exploitable, and it's 110%, actually, I'd say 150% survivor sided. And I don't like to use that word. But no, each survivor has 8 minutes. 8 minutes to find one item. That is crazy how much time that you have. It's too long, especially for a quick trial. A quick gen rush game in Dead by Daylight would be about 10 or so, maybe even under 10 minutes if the killer's just getting absolutely worked. Like you have probes running the killer all match. All gens can be done extremely quickly because you're looking at 80 seconds plus however long the farthest person has to run to get the said generator. And then obviously the last generator is going to be the middle generator. So let's say the longest travel time is 1 minute. Actually, let's make it simple. The longest travel time to everybody being on a separate gen is 80 seconds. 80 seconds, then 80 seconds to complete set gen. That's 160 seconds. Right there. That's 3 gens propped. Let's say it takes another 80 seconds for everybody to get situated on the last set of gens, because they only need 2 left. And then another 80 seconds to get that gen done. And let's say another 80 seconds to get to an exit gate. And for whatever reason, another 80 seconds to open said exit gate. That is, what, 6? Let's say 7 instances of 80 seconds. 7 times 8 is 56. That's 560 seconds. That equates to almost 10 minutes. And that's saying that it's going to take 80 seconds to do every little thing. Generally, it'll take about half of that time, if not less. But that is going the longest roundabout way possible to get to every gen and putting in time. That's like new people running around looking for gens and things like that. You just started the game. We're blowing up generators and having a hell of a time to get things done. Now think about the opposite side of that. SWFs or, just people that know the game. They're all going to go to separate generators. And let's say it's going to take 160 seconds to prop the first 3 generators. They're all going to meet up. You're going to have 2 on one generator and 1 on another generator, or they're each 3 are going to be doing separate generator. Well, no. Yeah, one might go to the exit gate in a regular trial and wait and camp exit gate while the others put another 80 seconds in. So you have 160 seconds plus another 80. That's 240 seconds. Let's say 60 seconds to get the exit gates and get out. So that's about 300 seconds. So you're looking at 5 to 6 minutes on a regular trial if somebody runs killer the entire time. So you're looking at a low end of 5 minutes as everything goes smoothly to an upper of 10 minutes on a regular trial. if there's bumps and there's a lot of hooks and a snowball effect in healing and people aren't, doing what they're supposed to do. It generally only goes beyond 10 minutes if things get dragged out, like a 3-gen situation or something just usually really, really bad happens that survivors need to, recover from. So, you think about it, for this item hunt being a quick trial, it's actually the same amount or longer than a regular trial. So it's around about the same amount of time for it to be quick. You would want it to be like a 5-minute experience. The killer is actively searching for survivors. Survivors are actively searching chests to get an item and then trying to GTFO. You're going to want to cut this down quite a bit to make it a quick trial. Mm. Anyway, new character, Survivor Jeff Starsky, whichever one. Like Starsky and Hutch. I don't know. Let's see. There's one, there's two, there's three. Gotcha. Enviable stubbornness. Also, if you just made that bold or italicized it or something like that, actually, if you made this bold, put this in italicize this. So, this bold, this italicized, it makes it extremely easy to differentiate between this. You can even do something with this because this is just kind of like a base description. You don't have to, but I mean, you could do something with that. Heck, you could bold and capitalize this, and then you can just embolden that, or you can, I don't know, there's a lot of things you can do to differentiate between it. Leave the rest of this the same, or even go as far as to italicize the number. I'm not expecting a color change, but do anything here to make this stand out and make this, all come together. Obviously, I'm giving you a lot of suggestions. I'm not saying do all of them at one point in time where you're just going to have this real screwy looking things where there's going to be too many things added in. But you know what I'm saying? You can do something to this to differentiate it between the rest of everything else and be consistent on it so the perks actually look nice and not part of this long just blah. First perk, enviable stubbornness. For each stage of hanging, the survivor receives 1% to all actions to all survivors within a radius of 10 meters, including himself. Why don't I just run Dwight's perk? Dwight's perks. That's all you need. So no. And it doesn't stack well with it because Dwight's perk sets actually give you quite a bit on top of that. Having an extra 1% negligible in most of these situations. Not very good. Why would I give up Dead Hard or something else for an extra 1% stat increase? Second Wind. Second Wind was a previously added perk that was, it wouldn't deactivate. Well, I guess it was. It had its name changed. I think it was Desperate Measures used to be Second Wind, or Renewal used to be Second Wind. I don't know. But Second Wind was already a perk in the past, I'm pretty sure. And had his name changed. So, being cured of a near death state or taken off the hook. What is near death state? that the dying state, does that count for the deep wound status effect? I mean, what is that? You do not leave traces of cracks. Scratch marks. Use the proper terminology, motherfucker. How many times do I have to say this? Don't just make up your own terminology when you're trying to get a company to, or even a community to adapt and listen to your perk ideas. Change that shit to what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be scratch marks, not cracks. And for all loud actions, the maniac does not receive alerts for 5 seconds. Where the hell does the word maniac come from? Maybe this is what they call it in, like, I don't know, Europe or Sweden or some other kind of place, an oceanic or European or Asian or something. Maybe they call them cracks and they call the killer the maniac or whatever. This is obviously the English server. So you should use English terms and things like that when it comes to things like that. Yes, it's a little nitpicky about things, but you got to think of this as if behavior looks at your project, they're going to want to see something, well flushed out with something that's usable. It's going to need to look good. It's going to need to look presentable and all of that. If you walk into an office in $1 million suit that's wrinkled to all hell and doesn't look good, it doesn't matter how much money you put into it. Time and effort matters there. But yeah, it's $1 million suit, but you ain't taking proper care of it. It's ripped, it's torn, it's not looking very good. People are gonna be like, nah, bro. Whether the guy that walks in with, $150 suit that's all ironed out, pristine looking, nice tie, everything, like 007, down, just suave, or a hitman suit or something like that, they're going to be looked at more than somebody who has the expensive, suit and all of that don't look good. You don't use scratch marks in all loud actions. They do not receive an alert for 5 seconds. You get 50% to the speed of treatment for you or other survivors for 30 seconds. Yeah. So this person is by English isn't their first language. Gotcha. Which is fun. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, if you're posting in a form that's English, you should, I mean, it's readable. To be fair, it is readable. And I do understand what it's saying by 50% speed of treatment. That's heal speed. So, I mean, I can interpret it easily and things like that. Hmm. As much as I would like to correct, I've seen a lot worse to where I'm like, bro, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. This is a very good from another language. This is a good translation from another language to our language. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be prejudiced or anything like that. This is a very good and high quality translation. It's easy to understand, it's in proper order, things like that. What I'm trying to talk about is, the terminology and going through to getting it pushed to behavior. Like scratch marks instead of cracks, things like that. Now, let me just back up one step. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I shouldn't have to explain myself. And if you're the type of person that thinks I'm being prejudiced, then you're probably not welcome on the channel to begin with. Because then you're just pushing your own agenda to try to make me look bad for saying something that I don't mean in a specific way. And at that point, you're not even welcome on my channel. Please leave. That's one thing I need to learn, that eventually somebody's going to come in a bad mood, or a troll's going to come in and they're going to want to question things and say, hey, you're racist and all this other shit, or you're prejudiced and all of this, and they're going to try to start drama. Let's just shut that down there. Let's just shut it down there. And prevent trolls and all of that from coming forth. You know what I'm trying to say. Just make it look professional. Bloody Legacy. Being taken off the hook for each stage of sacrifice, you get a token while in the closet. When you press a button, you spin a token and restore 25% of the charge of the object in your hand. Built to last already does that. You can see the aura of abandoned objects within a radius of 32 meters. That's not good because most abandoned objects are either under retirement of Franklin's or used items. Completely used up that were dropped for something else. Not very good. So flashlights is really the only thing you're going to get value out of here. I mean, possibly a med kit, but I don't really see it. Because, like, if you're getting healed properly after being picked off of, pulled off of a hook and getting healed properly afterwards, you shouldn't have to restore anything in your med kit. You know what I'm saying? If survivors aren't being dumb and pulling you off in front of a killer or anything crazy like that, you shouldn't have to worry about it. And if somebody does try like a borrowed time play and all of that, you should feel obligated to take a hit for that person if they took a hit, you know, getting you off, etc., etc. But I mean, in that case, you know, the killer's just going to kind of wait for your time to time out, and they're going to bop you in the head. So I really only see flashlights. Possibly if you fuck up and use the aura of your key all the way through, it'll give you a second chance to open up a hatch by giving you a little charge back. But I mean, what kind of idiot does that? So I really only see this being, you know, any type of effector for flashlights, for blinds and saves and things like that. So, and seeing it like that, it's not very good. The reason I didn't say toolbox is because you're going to need a max level toolbox to even get anywhere near covering the time that it's going to take for you to run to a locker, jump in said locker, press the button and all of that to get the 25% charges and all of that back, go back out, go to the generator, and then start working on it. So unless the generator is right, or the cabinet locker, goddamn. So unless the locker is right by the generator, it's not worth the extra time doing all of it and getting all of these charges and everything back. Plus, it's for each stage of sacrifice. So the maximum amount you can have is 2 tokens, which gives you 50% back. When built the last gives you 99% back. It takes a little time, yes, but you can get 99% back, 66% back, and 33% back by spending a little time. This allows you to get 50% back, but it's almost instantaneous. Why I said it's good for flashlights. You hop in there, ding ding, hop back out, and you're able to move, do whatever you need to do. But toolbox wise, it's not really worth it. You're not getting much value out of it. Alright, we are around about an hour. Like I said, I figured I would do a couple just to catch back up and not be beyond a list behind. I do have a couple of things to do tomorrow and a couple of phone calls to make on top of setting up all the mods and stuff for Skyrim VR. I might actually test it first to make sure that it can even run properly. And, well, get past the boring ass beginning, obviously. That'll be time for me to get used to the VR, walk and run, and all of that stuff as well. I'll use that little bit of an intro. But, beyond that, hopefully we can get a series running and I can just jump on, play Skyrim VR, and, fuck shit up, have fun, etc., etc. Anyway, hopefully within the next couple of days, everything will go back to normal and we will be set. So I can start doing regular streams and all of that. I might hop on for like an hour and do a Rocket League stream. I've been using Rocket League to cover for my lack of streaming here recently. But I mean, that's about all I can do is when I have free time, play a little Rocket League, get tilted, and jump off. So, alright. Thank you for anybody stopping by, and as always, supplement your lifestyle. I'll be back in a moment for some Rocket League.